songs and stories. And those of you who know me know I've written a few songs, and each song has a story. Well, the first one I'm going to tell you about is actually just a story. I haven't written a song to it. Maybe there'll be one years to come, but we'll see. Our Spirit moves me. It is a story about Christmas, a story about children, my children. When I have 4 kids, and when they were young, my husband had a job at the DDSO, the Developmental Center, and at Christmas time, he worked in a little cabin in the woods in Newark, and they had Santa Claus there. And this cabin was about a mile off the road. So let me backtrack a little bit. Having 4 kids, it was difficult to do Christmas shopping with or without the children. So one time, I happened to be Christmas shopping. I happened to take a few of my kids, the 2 younger ones, and we were in Walmart shopping. And my 4-year-old daughter came across this huge rag doll. The doll was, about 3 feet tall, and she says, "Oh, Mom, I would just love it if Santa could bring me that doll." And I said, well, it just so happens that parents are like elves sometimes, and they can help Santa. I was feeding her this story as I was making it up. And I said, you know what we could do? I could get this for Santa, because sometimes he needs some help, and I'll give it to him. And then, if you're good, on Christmas Day, you might just find that doll under the tree. So she says, "Oh, that's so wonderful, Mom." So I got the doll, and, took it home, and I stashed it away. It probably wasn't a great hiding place, but it was my closet. And so now we're going to fast forward to when we went to Christmas in the woods. We got the kids ready to go see Santa, and it was a snowy night, and we were loading the kids up in the car. And all of a sudden, Megan, my 4-year-old, says, "Wait a second, Mom, I forgot something." And she runs back into the house. And unbeknown to me, she grabbed that doll. She'd been keeping an eye on it, I guess. So, actually, my first reaction was to be a little angry, like, "What are you doing with that?" And she said, "Mom, Santa hasn't gotten it yet. And we're going to go see Santa, and I need to give it to him so he can give it to me on Christmas Day." So I played along with it, and my husband was fast on his thinking, and when we got there, we drove down this path into the woods, and it was snowing, and there was this cabin, and they had a generator that was running the lights and the Christmas music as it was playing. And it was almost like we did transcend into the North Pole. And it was so beautiful down there. And as we got out of the car, Megan grabbed this rag doll, and she stood in line to give it to Santa. Well, Bob went over to one of the head elves, and he whispered in his ear. And he says, "My daughter's going to give Santa this doll. I need you to take it and tell him you'll put it on Santa's sleigh and just, give it to me in the slide." So Megan gets up to Santa, and she hands Santa the doll. And, of course, he had no clue why he was getting a doll. And the elf quickly says, "Santa, I'll take that doll, and I'll put it on your sleigh. And we'll pack it up for Christmas Day if this girl has been a good girl all year." So he did that. He took it, and he gave it to Bob really quickly, and Bob threw it in the back of it, in the trunk of the car. And then he hid it really good in the house, better than our closet. come Christmas morning, Megan wakes up, and in the front of the tree stood that doll. She had so much excitement. She was jumping up and down, and she said, I knew it. I knew I'd been good. I knew Santa would bring me back that doll. Now, the reason I'm telling this story is I wish we could have the excitement of a 4-year-old at Christmas time. The joy of Christ being born. The joy that God is always with us. And the excitement that a child brings with it. So hold in your heart that excitement, the excitement of a child. Now another story. This story doesn't sound good. And maybe you haven't heard this one before. This one is about a child as well. My daughter, Corey. When Corey was 4 going on 5, you see, I worked in a nursing home. I worked in a nursing home for 35 years over at Clifton Springs. And this was back around 1989, 1990, so it was quite a while ago. And Corey used to love to come to work with me. She used to like to visit with the nursing home residents. Well, there was this one resident in particular that she would love to go see. In fact, sometimes when I'd have her with me, she'd disappear. And I knew right where she would go. She went down to Grace Libby's room. Now, Grace was totally blind. She was a small stature, and she would sit in her room. And her niece had given her this great big stuffed bear. And it sat on her dresser. That's probably what drew Corey into the room in the first place. And as children love to play, and they speak, they'll imagine, they'll play, they'll just talk about things and make believe and such. Corey used to go down to Grace's room, and she used to play with the bear. And she said, Grace, I think your bear needs some jewelry. So sure enough, the next time Corey was there, Grace had asked her niece to get the bear some earrings and a necklace. And so the bear turned into being Mrs. Bear. And Corey would chit-chat with the bear, and she'd talk to the bear, and she'd say, Mrs. Bear, how's my friend Grace? How is she doing? And Grace would be in the room, and she'd be listening to this 4 or 5-year-old child as she was playing with the bear. And Corey would often go over to Grace, and Grace would love to hold her hand and just talk to her. And it was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for Grace, because Grace never had children. And so to have this little 4-year-old, 5-year-old in her room playing with her bear meant the world to her. And when Grace died, her family gave Corey Mrs. Bear. Well, Mrs. Bear is with Corey now, and Corey's almost 34 years old. It's been tattered and torn and sewed and restuffed, and it even laid against our electric heater, and it has a yellow stripe down its back now. But that bear still is with my daughter, Corey. And after Grace had passed and we were given the bear to give to Corey, I wrote this song, and it's called Mrs. Bear. And it's about Corey's visit with Grace. And hello, Mrs. Beth, how are you today? tell you is that one of the times I took Corey with me to visit Grace and asked her if she wanted to go to an activity. Grace says, I can't go today because I'm sick and I'm not feeling well. So I couldn't believe what came out of my daughter's mouth. I said, okay, well, I hope you feel better. And Corey says, Mom, we can't leave. I said, why? We need to say a prayer for Grace. And so, out of mouth the babes. And there again, I think Christ wants us to come to him like children, with the excitement and the faith that a child does have. The next story I want to tell you, I have told this one before, and it's about our Christmas tree and customs. Christmas is about customs, it's about traditions, and we decided that we would change up our tradition in the Whitbeck household when we had our fourth child. You see, it was kind of hard to go out and get a cut tree like we had always done in the woods when we had to carry 2 kids and drag a tree as well. So what we did was we talked to the kids and we said, why don't we get a live tree instead? And so we talked to the kids and they agreed. They said, yeah, that would be cool because we could plant the tree in our yard and always have that tree from when it was Kim's, our youngest, first Christmas. And so my husband went out and he got this live tree. Well, I don't know if any of you have ever gotten a live tree before, but if you get a live tree, they're quite small. And you know what? It weighs about 200 pounds because you have to have a ball of dirt in a bushel basket. And we live in a raised ranch, and my poor husband had to get that tree up each step to get it up to the tree, to the place of honor where we were going to have it. Well, when Bob brought the tree home and got it in its place, we were a tad bit rough on him. I guess none of us realized how little the tree would be and just how, well, ugly it would look. And so we all gave Bob a hard time, and it was really, really very similar to the Charlie Brown Christmas story. We told Bob he really messed up and got the ugliest tree in the lot, because it wasn't very big, and the branches, well, they weren't very strong. And so everybody was kind of had a sour attitude at the time. Well, we brought the ornaments out, we got them, unwrapped them, and despite that ugly tree, the kids started getting excited about Christmas as they were unwrapping some of the ornaments that they had made from years past. Just some ornaments that they made in school or Sunday school. And they started, just getting excited and laughing. And then I had a 4-year-old daughter, May, who was putting all of the ornaments on one branch. And so the tree literally did bend over. And it was really quite sad. And then my daughter, Kim, was 10 months old, and I had a puppy that was 6 months old, and the 2 of them sat at the base of the tree, and the baby would pull the ornaments off the tree, and she'd start chewing on them, and then she'd give them to the dog, and then they'd pass them back and forth. And it was really quite chaotic. And so I just thought, wow, this maybe wasn't the best idea, And so that evening, the kids were in bed, and I turned the lights off in the house, and the lights were on in the tree. And I got looking at the tree, and I did a 180, and I said, oh my gosh, you know what? That tree is just filled with love. All those ornaments that the kids made on it, and all the excitement that they brought to it. They were so excited to give us these gifts of ornaments that they made with their stubby little fingers and glue and paste and everything. The pine cones with glitter and the paper plate wreaths, and we had some popsicle sleds. Janet, I don't know, I think we have a 4th grade picture of Megan from when you taught her too, so it probably was an ornament that they made in your class or something that they brought home. But all these ornaments, they were clothespin reindeers, all these things were on the tree. And I started looking at the tree and thinking, what a beautiful tree. You see, sometimes we look at people and we don't see what's inside. It's kind of like a book. A worn book, you can't judge a book by its cover, but a worn book is a book that must be really, really good because it's been read quite a bit. And we never know what's inside each and every one of us. And we need sometimes to take a different look, and see the beauty that we all can illuminate and share and spread that light. So this song is called Tree of Love. I've always marveled at those perfect Christmas trees, the ones from the calls for good housekeeping, with the same colored lights and red ribbons placed beneath, tinsel and garland all come to grief. But year after year, tree after tree, Christmas is very special to me, as the kids unwrap each decoration with glee. Memories unfold of how ornaments came to be. This is our tree of love, decorated by my children's hands, and like the stars above, they're before ever seen. Closed-in reindeers and popsicle sleds, paper plate wreaths and Santa's head, pine cones decorated with glitter and glue, all decorations that were made in school. This is our tree of love, decorated by my children's hands, The next song I'm going to do is a song, and it's called Thank God for Laundry. And I know there's probably, every single one of you praise the Lord every day for all your laundry, right? My mother-in-law used to. She used to say, there's nothing more pleasure than I got is when I hung all my she had 7 kids, when I hung all those white diapers out on the line to dry. But really, I don't know too many people who are thankful for laundry, but the laundry, actually, the dirty laundry is what inspired me for this song. You see, at the time, my son was in the service, and he had been gone for 2 years. And we hadn't been together as a family in 2 years. And he happened to be just coming back from the Middle East, and he was able to visit home for a few weeks. And my daughter, who lives in North Carolina, happened to actually coordinate her visit for the same time, only they overlapped just by 3 days. Well, our house, which used to fit all of the kids, as they moved out, we changed things up a little bit. My husband made one of the rooms a man cave. And so when the kids were all home, my son didn't really have a bedroom. He slept on the couch, and he kept his military duffel bag in the living room. And one day I got home from work, and at the top of the stairs was a pile of his dirty laundry sitting there. Well, if I had gone back a few years and I'd come home after working all day, seeing the house a mess and dirty laundry sitting at the stage, I would have gotten on my high horse and I would have lectured the kids from here to there. And I would have just told them how hard I was working, and I can't believe that they had just made a mess of the house. And I would have gone ranting on and on about how, hard I worked, and they were just, slacking and playing and not pitching in. But this day it was really different. I saw that dirty pile of laundry at the top of the stairs, and I actually got prickly feeling in my heart. It was a very warm sensation. And it made me think, oh my gosh, I know how I could have reacted. I could have really gone to the negative side. And I could have really gone into, one of Mom's 101 lectures. But I saw that dirty laundry, and it said, thank God my son is here. He's not in the Middle East. He's not in North Dakota. He's right here, and he's home. And that dirty laundry wasn't going to hurt me at all. And I have to think, whoa, how many times have I reacted in a negative way when if maybe, it's kind of like that Tree of Love song, maybe when I look at things just a little bit differently, I could find a blessing in it. And so maybe we need to just think and pause a little bit today and think, maybe things aren't going just the way we want them to. Maybe the house is a mess. Maybe the bills aren't paid. Maybe. But maybe if we look at it a little different, we might see that God has really blessed us in some way. And look for that blessing. That's the challenge I'm going to give to you today. Thank God for them. there was laundry piled high, and there were whites till someone cried. I was tired and worn out from all the stress. Well, there were Legos on the floor and those rubber dinosaurs, and the little princess shoes the girls would wear. And there were dishes in the sink, and I could barely even think. And then the dogs run off someone's underwear. It's always my fault. And when they were in bed, bedtime stories had been said. After prayers and goodnight kisses on the head. After a long drawn out day, I would finally hit the hay. And I felt the child snuggle up to me again. Well, now a candle's burning bright to welcome my children.